Hello and welcome to Success is Never Accidental, the show where we get to explore strategies for success and systems for success, and we get to interview some highly successful people. My guest today is the amazing Brigitta Hoeferle. Born and raised in Germany, she and her husband came to the United States and started their very first business was a Montessori school in Tennessee. And now she's an international speaker, author, and one of the most inspiring MCs I think I've ever experienced. Brigitta just has this capacity to draw in large audiences and really engage with them. Among many other successful ventures, she's the owner and director of an NLP school in Atlanta, and she coaches senior executives across a wide range of industries. What I love most about Brigitta is her passion for life, her energy, her enthusiasm, and her positivity. And we are really blessed to have her on our show today. So help me welcome Brigitta Hoeferle. Hi, Brigitta. How are you today?
I am great, Lynne. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Well, I am so blessed. It's so wonderful to have you on this show because this is a topic that you just know so much about and had a very successful show yourself for many years, helping people to get a better understanding of success. And from someone who's had so many successful ventures, what would you say after all this time, Brigitta? How would you define success and what does it mean for you?
Oh, that's a loaded question, Lynne, and I love it. Success is, for me, the byproduct of when I do something with passion and I do it consistently and I do it with grit. But first and foremost, there's got to be that passion. There's got to be that element of purpose. Yeah. Why am I doing why I'm doing? Because, you and I, we work with a lot of people from all walks of life. And we often hear that sometimes people will say, well, success is when the money is flowing. For me, the money is a byproduct. Success for me is truly when I am fulfilled, when my family is fulfilled, and when my clients are fulfilled. That's true success right there for me.
And I think we've always been driven, haven't we, by that purpose of adding value to other people. And you've been able to do that across so many ventures. So tell us a little bit more about how the NLP School in Atlanta is actually adding value to so many people who maybe never knew anything about NLP until they came across your school.
Yes. So the school has been around since 1986. Now, I'm not the founder of the school, but I am a product of the school. I came to a point in my own business as a Montessori teacher where I was not successful. I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't doing the work that I envisioned being a teacher was going to be. And for the beginning of my successful or not so successful career, I pointed fingers at everyone else and said, you guys are funny and dummies for not seeing an opportunity. And then it reoccurred over and over and over again. And I didn't become successful. And I was like, wait a minute, I need to turn the fingers around from pointing at everyone else to pointing at myself and going, what do I not know? And that's when I wanted to use the word stumble, but I really didn't stumble. It was very intentional. I was looking for, what am I missing in my communication? Although I have a communications degree, what am I missing? And that's when I found the Center of NLP in Atlanta, and I started taking all of their courses. And out of that, I was scouted to be on the stages with people like Robert Kiyosaki and T. Harv Eker and Les Brown and Tony Robbins and so forth. That's how you and I know each other.
And actually, that's what I was saying, wasn't it, in the introduction? You're one of the most inspirational MCs because you love people, and you have this, and you also love big stages, Brigitta, and you have this capacity to just talk to huge audiences, and we all feel like you're talking right to us. But there's something about those big stages, isn't there, that really lets you connect with so many, many more people. So
Yeah.
say something about why taking opportunities to go to big events is so important. And especially you and I meet internationally, but it's so, so important, isn't it, that we get out of our comfort zone, get out of our own area, country, whatever, and realize how much talent there is out there.
Yes. You know, people go to networking events in their own city and just it's always the same circle. I say, go to Australia, go to a big event in Australia and buy the VIP ticket and sit in the very front, not just to learn, but to meet the people that are sitting in the very front rows. And if it weren't for that, again, you and I would have never met. And I have met so many incredible people. I just came back from Switzerland. And I'm going to be honest with you, Lynne, I really didn't want to go to Switzerland. I had the opportunity and there were like days before my flight, I was like, should I really go? Am I going to call them off and, refund their money? But I said, no, I'm going to do it. And I'm so glad I did, because I got to meet people that I would have never met before. And there's no way of me meeting them on LinkedIn or somewhere. And we have that connection now. And that's why it's so important that we continue to learn and meet new people.
And the opportunities don't come immediately when we meet new people. But if we keep supporting that network, if we keep checking in with people, seeing if there's anything we can do to help them, it's amazing, isn't it? Something happens down the road and it wasn't even the thing you were planning.
And that comes to a point of, success is never accidental. That means meeting those people is the first step, but staying in touch with them, seeing how I can be a resource to them. I with a few of these people that I met in Switzerland, I send a video message to them and I said, hey, it was so great meeting you. And one of them immediately got back to me and, they want to come to the United States. We want to do something together. So you'll never know, if you're not following up, what you're leaving on the table.
That's so, so true. And I was in Dubai when you were in Switzerland and met some of the most amazing people, including a young woman I'm going to interview soon who came from Ukraine with nothing and is now doing amazing things in Turkey, but expanding beyond Turkey into other European countries. So, one of the things that you said early in the conversation was you need grit. Success doesn't come easy. It's not just not accidental, it's also hard work. Say something about how important grit and determination, and even what you said about Switzerland, you didn't feel like going. We all get days we don't feel like it, but say something about why grit and determination is so important.
Yeah, and that comes to really being in tune with your purpose. That's when the grit really sets in. People ask me, oh, Brigitta, so you're a motivational speaker. No, I am not a motivational speaker, okay? Because motivation is something very removed. I can motivate you to do something, but the real grit comes from having ownership and being determined and being dialed in. Why are you doing what you're doing? For what purpose? And if it's not, if it's not lighting a belly in a fire in your belly, then why even do it? So there's no sense of urgency. And that grit will take you through the challenge. It will take you over, under, around, and through the challenge, because that's when the going gets hard. And that's where a lot of people, and I'm going to put in air quotation marks, fail in their business because they give up. There is no giving up. When you have grit, when you're tenacious, when you're very clear what's at the end of this challenge, then it will take you through the challenge. It will and we all have them. I am not different from you than from any other. I'm not different from, Sir Richard Branson. I'm pretty sure he faces challenges every day, multiple times. And it takes a very specific mindset to say, okay, I might not be motivated right now, but I'm determined. And that's what takes me through the challenge or around the challenge. And it gives me a greater, it gives me a more open opportunity of looking at at the situation from different angles, and it gives me an opportunity to maybe find completely new solutions to a challenge.
And Zig Ziglar, I was just reminded, Zig Ziglar said most people don't fail, they just don't stick it for long enough to be successful. But what do you have any daily disciplines that actually keep you focused and on purpose?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I love to go work out. That's how I start my day. And this morning I went to work out with our youngest daughter, and she keeps me accountable. I keep her accountable. So there's an accountability piece. And when I start in the morning with being really dialed into momentum, into motion, a body in motion stays in motion. My day starts out with, okay, I can tackle anything that I have. And then I sit, once I have taken a shower and got dressed and all of that good stuff, I go on my calendar. And my calendar already has my daily action steps by half hour implemented into my calendar. So once I sit at my desk, I don't have to figure out, I don't get sucked into social media. I don't get sucked into emails. I know these are the next things that I'm doing, and I schedule them just like I would schedule a podcast with Lynne, or I would schedule a meeting with my client, or a coaching session, or a training session. And I keep them. It's this, I go at these calendar entries with the same energy as I go when I meet with a client. And that's self-accountability. And that calendar really helps me.
You love systems, you love your calendar, and you
I
also
do.
have been very successful with virtual assistants as part of your team.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I could not work without them anymore. There was a learning curve, right? There was a challenge in the beginning because my virtual assistant is not in the same time zone as I am, does not sit in my office as I am, and does not know me personally. So there was some learning on both of our parts, some explanation on my part. And now that we have been working together for quite some time, I mean, with my overall team, I've been working for over 2 years now, and with my virtual assistant, a little bit under a year. They've gotten to know me. They know my style. They know my voice. When they write copy, they know what to write it, in which voice to write it. And that takes time. And as entrepreneur, we often don't take time to just sit down and say, this is not how it's going to be. This is how it needs to be. And this is how it needs to look, how it needs to sound, how it needs to feel. And that takes time, right? That takes grit. That takes determination. That takes patience. And Lynne, patience
is not one of our strong points, I know, but that point is so fundamental, because what happens with most leaders is that they lose patience. So what do? They take it back and they do it themselves. And we cannot be successful as business owners if we try to do everything ourselves. So what advice would you give people who struggle to delegate?
Well, I would ask them, how much longer are you willing to endure the pain of running a JOB rather than being the owner of your business? Because that's a big, big difference. Most business owners run their own job, and they do I call them the mundane tasks. You don't need to do the mundane tasks, because if you have not learned to explain in very simple terms what you want the other person to do, whoever you're delegating to, I don't think you understand really, truly what you are doing. And that takes taking a step back, taking a deep breath, and creating SOPs. Here's the plan again, right? I love to plan. I think planning is part of the overall game. Really taking a step back and planning it out. Now, when I first learned how to plan things out, when I had my first business, I realized that I needed SOPs, standard operating procedures, but I didn't have the time to actually sit down and handwrite it or type it up. And again, grit, that's where grit comes in. What else can I do? And it was at the very beginning when we had smartphones. And I was like, ooh, I wonder if I can do a voice memo and literally record every step that I take from the moment that I enter or even before I enter my business. And I did that. And I said, okay, it is 7:45. I am unlocking the door. And I literally recorded every step that I took. And then I gave it to someone and I said, I need you to transcribe this. And then we created a folder with all SOPs. And that's when I started doing SOPs. And it was the best thing ever.
Critical. And the big point there, you can't teach somebody else to do things if you don't understand the steps yourself. So the SOP has to be incredibly detailed so that we can do
very
that.
Specific. Yes, very specific. And you know what, Lynn, another thing is a lot of entrepreneurs think that other people can mind read. No one can mind read, right? No one can look inside your brain. So if you're not specific, then the other person is filling in the blanks that are being left out with their own model of the world. And that's where then, you know, bridges are burned, because then the entrepreneur, the business owner might say, that's not what I meant. Well, that's not on them. That's actually on you, buddy, because you weren't specific enough.
And just completing that circle, because you said that earlier on, we have to look for the solutions within ourselves as opposed to blaming other people. What a great note to end on. Brigitta Hoeferle, thank you as always, my friend, for sharing your wisdom. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Lynn, for having me.
So much learning from the incredible Brigitta Hoeferle. We have been friends and colleagues for more years than I can remember. But let's just pull out some of the key learning points from that interview with Brigitta. Success is about being fulfilled. Success is about living on purpose. It's about adding value. It's about taking personal responsibility rather than blaming others, taking ownership for your own life, not just for your work, but for your life as well. She also stressed the importance of networking and following up on relationships so that we check in with people to see if there's anything that we can do to support their ventures. She also talked about the need for focus and determination. Even when we don't feel like doing it, we have to have that tough mindset that says, I said I'll do it, I'll do it. She also talked about the challenge, and I think this is something that we find all the time, is we get frustrated when we try to delegate something if it doesn't go exactly our way. So 2 important points there is the person we're delegating to can't mind read. So we have to be very clear, very concise, and very specific about not just what we want done, but how we want it done. And the second thing is that we have to be prepared to understand the steps ourselves before we can teach them to anyone else. So I knew that was going to be an amazing interview, and Brigitta Hoeferle, as usual, excels. So thank you for joining me on Success is Never Accidental. And remember, this is okay having the theory. It's what you do with this information that matters. So take action.